Hello and welcome to our weekly news programme Winchester Now. I'm Mary Blaxland. There's lots coming up in the show, including an urgent appeal for toys to help local families in need this Christmas. Winchester Radio joins a special book launch, and thousands come to our city, with Winchester named as one of the prettiest places for a Christmas shop.
Winchester Radio.
Winchester Vineyard Church is holding a toy fair next week and is appealing for donations to help families in need this Christmas. It's also putting together hampers which will be given out this festive season. Andy Clark runs the storehouse at the church and spoke to Winchester Radio.
Christmas at the Vineyard Church, we are running two main activities. The first is a Christmas toy fair where we will play host to about 130 children or their carers and parents in particular. Those parents and carers can come in, choose a new toy from our selection of donated new toys per child, and then as many second-hand toys as they want. They can have them wrapped and they can have them prepared ready so that those families that are in a crisis situation can actually deliver a Christmas that their children can feel involved with and not worried about.
And when's this happening?
That's happening on Tuesday the 28th of November. Shortly after that, we will then begin distributing Christmas hamper bags where we put together a selection of food and soft drinks for families according to their size, so that again they don't have to worry about providing something a little bit special come Christmas. They can still put on a degree of celebration.
And are you needing donations of toys or donations of goods?
Yes, donations of both. Donations of toys in particular, we can almost not have enough, particularly of the new toys. We've only had our waiting lists, as it were, open for a week, and we've already got 43 children's names on that list. By the time we get to the 28th, we're expecting to be around the 130 mark, which is typical for events that we run. So, yes, that means we need 130 new toys across all ages from 9 months to 18 years old, and for both genders, and that can be a challenge.
A lot of people might be surprised that there's that many families needing help this Christmas, particularly in Winchester.
Yes, and I think actually the work that we do does show that there is an enormous need. Running through the rest of the year, we have a storehouse project which clothes families of people that are in emergency need of clothing, and 12 months to date, we've served 831 individuals in just Winchester.
What's your reaction to that?
My reaction is astonishment that we can get to that number, and I think most people are also astonished because we present as a very together and affluent city, but we are a city of two halves, if you like, and there are a great number of people for whom the daily financial struggle is very real, and I meet people every week who are genuinely at the point of working out whether to pay for heating, food or clothing.
So if people want to help Christmas, want to help others, what can they do? How can they donate?
How can they donate? We're open as a church building Monday to Friday and obviously all day Sunday, so please turn up and drop off any donations that you may have. They'd be gratefully received.
And to find out more about what's needed and how to donate, visit the website winchestervineyard.org.
Now with some of the news stories in our area this week, I'm Ron Venturi. Police are investigating a series of burglaries at local businesses in Alresford following break-ins in the early hours of last Friday, and they're appealing for any CCTV or doorbell footage of these incidents. The police say this type of crime is rare in Alresford, and they're offering security advice for any concerned businesses. In Winchester, hundreds gathered inside the cathedral on Sunday evening, sharing a period of reflection and prayer for everyone affected by conflict in the Middle East. The Vigil of Light welcomed people of all ages, including young children with their families and students from local colleges. Candles were placed in front of the altar as a symbol of hope and peace. And on Monday, police carried out a raid in Winchester city centre and discovered a large cannabis factory. Officers from combined operational units executed a warrant at a building in Upper Brook Street where a large number of cannabis plants were found. A 54-year-old local man was arrested on suspicion of producing a controlled Class B drug. The plants will be seized and destroyed.
Now, she's led the charity for 15 years, but Michelle Price is shortly to step down from her role as Chief Executive of the Winchester Beacon. She first joined the charity, formerly the Winchester Night Shelter, as a volunteer in 2002. and she's overseen the introduction of move-on properties for the homeless, as well as navigated it through COVID. In an extended interview with Winchester Radio, she looks back at her role and spoke firstly about the changes she's seen.
Well, I think that we've come to recognise that help is now far more than we originally started with just food and a bed. Our focus now is on rebuilding lives and helping people to make long-term changes. There's been a huge improvement in the partnership work within the city, the other agencies providing homelessness support and with the City Council. I think that now the main change is we do so much more to help our residents, to help prevent former residents from returning back to a homelessness situation or returning back to the streets.
A lot of people see Winchester as a wealthy place. Do you think there's more awareness now of the situation?
I think it's a really tricky one. A lot of people see people begging on the street. I know that from the agencies there's a group of us that go out and do outreach in the early mornings. Quite a lot of the people that actually are begging for money on the street are actually housed. I think that people do recognise the city as having areas of deprivation. The pandemic and the cost of living have made many more people rather more vulnerable, especially to financial challenges. And I think that we are fortunate ourselves that people do recognise the challenges, and we're really grateful that so many people actually want to support us by giving not only their time but also money to help us operate.
You talked about some of the changes that you've seen, and what would you say has been your biggest achievement as you prepare to step down now after 15 years? What would you say is the thing you're most proud of?
I've seen probably more than 3,000 people come through since I've been in the role. Achievements, 2017 we were awarded the Queen's Award for Voluntary Service. That's one of the highest awards that a charity can achieve. A lovely achievement in honour of all our hundreds of volunteers. Another achievement was coming through COVID. We only had 2 residents in 2 years who actually caught COVID, and so I think it was a huge achievement from all of the staff team to have managed that change. Setting up off-site properties. Since I've started, we now operate another 3 off-site properties. So at the moment we actually offer accommodation to 22 people with support, but in 4 different venues. I like to think I had a little bit to do with that. And my latest achievement, Mary, I've just shown you the new pods. It's taken a lot of hard work from a lot of companies. Eventually we've managed to demolish the old gents' bathroom facilities, and we've now got 8 sparkling new, gleaming, wonderful individual pods for our residents to enjoy the privacy and the dignity that they deserve.
You must get to know a lot of the residents that come here, and are there any particular stories, any particular people that stick in your mind?
My lasting memory is one from probably about 10 years ago, and I think it was the first time I heard it that was so shocking. This young lad who was only about 18, he was homeless at the time but went back home to see his mum, knocked on the door, and she refused to let him in the house. And I've just never forgotten that. But we see it a bit more frequently. We had another resident not that long ago who actually was given an eviction notice by his mother, which means that, you can't come back into the house. We don't want you back. And I think that's such a sad case. We were able to support him to complete going to college. We helped him with his confidence and gave him some stability. He's now got a job. He moved into one of our move-on properties, and from there he's now very recently managed to achieve moving into his own property. So that's one of the stories that I think about a lot. We need to remember not everybody that is made homeless has actually slept on the street. So we had an older resident, 60 years old, who came to stay with us. He'd actually had a council house and was living with his parents. When his father died, he couldn't take on the property. It went to his mum. When his mum died, they couldn't pass on the council house property to him. So he'd lived in this council house for 40 years and then was homeless. I think that's something quite difficult and quite shocking after 40 years to be made homeless. There are so many different reasons why people actually have to experience homelessness. It's certainly not a choice.
And what do you think of the challenges that lie ahead? Is the problem in the situation going to get worse or better? And what changes would you like to see in the future to help?
I don't think that the current government make life easy for a private landlord wanting to help others or wanting to rent to those on benefits. I would love to see the government, whichever government it is, encourage private landlords to rent to those that are on benefits, which would give us a greater supply of housing stock, which is at the moment obviously in short supply. We ourselves are working harder with everyone to try and prevent people returning to homelessness. I think that's another challenge. There's been a lot in the press recently about LHA, local housing authority rates don't really cover the costs for people. It certainly would relieve homelessness if that was made a bit simpler for everyone, or if the levels were raised. The challenge is that everyone has a right to a home. Personally, I always hope for my magic millionaire. I always say to staff, there might be the magic millionaire out there. If you're listening, do give me a call. We'd always love to meet one. And if we could ourselves provide more accommodation, which is something that we're looking to do in the new year, then hopefully that will cope with one of the challenges, which is just finding accommodation to move people into. With the help of the magic millionaire, a nice block of flats would be my dream, but you never know. One can only but hope.
And obviously you rely a lot on volunteers to help with what you do here. You must be really grateful for their role and what they do to help.
Absolutely, we're incredibly lucky. I think it's really important for the volunteers not only to meet our residents, but also the other way round, that our residents get an opportunity to meet people from all walks of life. We've got university professors, judges, vicars, school teachers, mothers, fathers, cooks. We've got so many volunteers, and I think people love, as a volunteer, giving something back to help, which of course is of huge benefit to us. And I think it's also rather nice for our residents to be treated as somebody completely normal and to see and meet other people they wouldn't normally come across.
And finally, what advice would you give to your successor?
Quite a few points, actually. One was value our volunteers. Be patient. Our vision is to transform lives, inspire hope and end homelessness. While we know we're not going to do that in seconds or minutes, so patience is needed. Persevere. Nothing will happen that quickly. Keep up the good work, and if you follow our values of being honest and open, safe and supportive, flexible and caring, you just can't go wrong, and you'll have a wonderful time.
Michelle Price from the Winchester Beacon talking to Winchester Now.
Now for some more news from around the city. A plan to redevelop Winchester City Football Club's ground at Abbots Barton has been approved. It will see a new artificial grass pitch, replacement floodlighting, additional spectator stands, team shelters and new toilets. The plans have been 3 years in the making and will cost around £1 million. The club says it's amazing news and that the changes will allow more teams to use the ground and to build on the sport's popularity. An inquiry into proposed changes for Junction 9 of the M3 has now finished, with a decision due to be made next year. The plans involve tunnelling the A34 underneath the M3 motorway so that through traffic will no longer have to use the Winnell roundabout. The proposals have caused debate, with some worried about the environmental impact of the scheme. A planning inspector will make a recommendation in February, with the Secretary of State having the final say by early summer. A tree planted in Winchester in 1977 to commemorate the Queen's Silver Jubilee has been cut down after it was found to be diseased. It was one of 2 mature silver maples located outside the headquarters of the Hampshire County Council buildings by the West Gate. The authority says the diseased tree posed a risk to passing vehicles and pedestrians, and a replacement will be planted in 2024.
A Winchester organisation which provides community cooking workshops held a party this week to launch its first cookbook. Munch has helped more than 180 families in the last 2 years, hosted 700 children at holiday clubs and school visits, and given cooking skills to more than 50 adults with learning disabilities. Here's co-founder Mary Needham-Carlton.
So we're a social enterprise based in Winchester. We have our sort of business side of things and our community side of things. So our sort of money-making side, I suppose, if you want to call it that, is events catering. And we're also just about to launch some commercial cooking classes. And any profits generated from that help to support our community side of what we do, which is our community cooking programme. Our community cooking programme is essentially cooking workshops with disadvantaged groups. We work a lot with families with children on a low income. We also work with adults with learning disabilities disabilities, and we work with other sort of vulnerable, disadvantaged adults as well. And the reason we do this, there's a huge amount of people that don't have the confidence and skills to cook from scratch, and the populations that we work with really want to learn about healthy eating, and they really want to be able to be more financially resilient. So trying to get away from processed food and trying to save money and use up things that are in their fridges and cupboards, etc. Yeah, we have lots of outcomes, so lots of ideas of healthy eating. We help people learn about food labelling, batch cooking, and sustainable nutrition as well, which is another really big key part to what we do, is helping people sort of debunk all the kind of sustainability stuff and help people learn how they can cook sustainably without having to shop at farm shops or go completely plant-based or, these things.
And how much are those sort of workshops needed? What's the demand like for them?
Yeah, I mean, our workshops are always full. Every time we run them sort of per term. Because of safety and capacity, we can only sort of work with 10 families or 10 people in one block, but there is always a big rush to kind of get on the list. So they are really, really popular. There is definitely a massive need. There's generations, I would say, of people that haven't learned basic cooking skills, either within the home or at school. So there's a massive need for it. And I think because our lives are so fast-paced now, and it's so easy to buy quick, processed, easy food, there's less inclination to cook from scratch. And people think it's difficult, and people think it's time-consuming. So yeah, there is a massive need for it. And, we just have to look at our diabetes figures and heart disease and cancer and all these things that could be very easily helped through healthy eating. And we have started sort of branching out a bit now and doing cooking demonstrations, because we can reach a much wider group of people with that as well.
And tell me a bit about the cookbook, a bit about some of the recipes that are in there. They're recipes that anyone can do and easy and cheap to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the whole sort of ethos behind the book is breaking down barriers. So we try to create recipes that anybody can cook, or everybody feels that they can cook. We've got soups, curries, stir fries, risottos. We've got burritos in there as well, and quesadilla. So a whole sort of variety of easy to cook, sort of midweek meal kinds of foods. And they're all sort of things that you can batch cook as well. So you could cook a whole load, chuck it in the freezer, so you can still have that healthy meal when you get home from work or get home from the school run or whatever, the whole point in the book is that people can feel like that they can use it to cook. We don't use weights or measures. We just use like handfuls of things or spoons of things, because we don't want people to think they can't cook it if they don't own a set of scales or a measuring jug. We just use one pan for most of the recipes, are one pan recipes, to help people just quickly cook something on the hob, saves on utilities as well. Also, we have a chopping guide in there, so people can refer to that if they're not sure what it means to dice something or make ribbons with something. And then in the back of the book we have a whole section of easy read recipes in easy read format, which helps people with learning disabilities. It helps children and families cook together, and it also helps people with poor literacy skills. So all the kinds of things that have been identified in our workshops put barriers towards using traditional recipes. We try to sort of debunk in our book.
And all the profits go back into this wonderful work that you do. How can people get hold of a copy?
Absolutely. So you can grab a copy on our website, munchcic.co.uk. It's also available in Wells Bookshop in Winchester, and it will be available in various other ones as well, to be confirmed.
It's time for the shout-outs again with me, Paul Blitz. First of all, it's hats off to the hundreds of students from the University of Winchester who received their degree certificates last week. A number of graduation ceremonies were held at the Winchester Cathedral, with proud families watching on. Afterwards, graduates and their guests gathered at the Guildhall for champagne and cupcakes. A big thank you now to all the local groups, schools and organisations who came to entertain the crowds ahead of the Christmas lights switch on last week. Dancers and singers took to a special stage in the Broadway ahead of the big moment. More on that coming up on Winchester Now very shortly. And a shout out to Winchester Rotary, who've donated more than 600 shoe boxes to an appeal to help disadvantaged children across the world. Each year, Rotary clubs in the Wessex region organise the collection, packing and dispatch of some 18,000 shoe boxes filled with gifts for children in countries such as Moldova, Montenegro, Romania and Ukraine. Winchester Rotary was also given more than 200 woolen items for the boxes, including jumpers, scarves, hats, gloves and blankets knitted by several local craft groups. A number of primary schools, nurseries and church groups also filled and donated shoe boxes. A few weeks ago, Winchester Radio met some of the cast from the Winchester Musicals and Opera Society performing in Calendar Girls. This year the group has been supporting Winchester Go LD, Well, their show at the Theatre Royal, along with their performance of HMS Pinafore earlier this year, has raised more than £3,600 for the charity, which helps adults with learning difficulties. They've thanked audiences for their generous donations. We'll have more amazing shout-outs for you next week, here on Winchester Now.
Winchester Radio.
Thousands of people are already flocking to Winchester to enjoy the now famous Christmas market, with coaches coming from across the country. The festive season started with the city's light switch on.
3, 2, 1,
Pressing the button to switch on the lights this year were staff and volunteers from Winchester Hospice. It followed a competition with people asked to vote for their local heroes. Here's Maddie Thompson, consultant nurse.
How do you feel about Winchester Hospice turning on the Christmas light?
It's absolutely wonderful. It's just so exciting that we have a hospice in Winchester. The fact that people recognise it, they recognise the importance of it is really, really important. And the fact that we can invite our volunteers today, some of our families, so many members of staff, just makes it all so worthwhile.
And the fact that you've all been nominated as a team as local heroes, what does that mean to you?
It's quite overwhelming, really. And I have to keep pointing out to people the heroes are the people who have supported us, both financially, with their time, giving us so much support in so many different ways. It's the community of Winchester that's created this hospice.
And a lovely reaction you had here as well from the crowd.
It was wonderful. It's really uplifting, very emotional. This hospice is going to be getting bigger and better, and so just watch this space.
Thousands of people gathered in the Broadway ahead of the light switch on to be entertained by singers and dancers from local groups and schools and stars from the Theatre Royal Panto. Here's Paul Spencer from Winchester Bid.
It's a big event for Winchester. We start the planning in the summer, really, because that's when all the licences need to be ready to put the Christmas lights up around the city. So a lot of work starts early on. The Switch On event we've been planning for a few months now. We've got lots of community events, lots of singing and dancing on stage, and of course Santa as well. So yeah, it's a busy day. Real community focus. In the square we have a giant snow globe, and people can go and have their photos taken in there. That's raising money for Trinity Winchester and Winchester Beacon. And we've got the Winchester Round Table Santa sleigh as well. So yeah, an awful lot going on, and yeah, busy day and lots of fun.
And the people that haven't been down here, haven't witnessed this, how would you describe the buzz at that moment when those lights are about to be switched on?
It's amazing. I mean, I've been doing this for 7 years now, and it's great. It's so much fun because of that community focus. There's lots of people who know each other, lots of other people that come into the city for this as well. It's just great fun, and when the lights go on, the city looks amazing, lots of cheering, and yeah, it's a great time.
And it's a great time for Winchester as well, isn't it, in terms of the businesses and bringing people in, not just this event but the Christmas market. It's great for the Winchester economy.
Absolutely. So Christmas is a really key time of year for some of our key sectors like retail and hospitality. They call it the golden quarter, when a lot of certain sectors make a lot of their income, really. So Christmas is an important time obviously for the economy, but it's an important time for community, for people, for families coming together, a chance to reflect on the year and enjoy a bit of downtime in the city centre, and hopefully we'll have a good one.
Hi, good evening. My name is Robert Bolwell. I'm with local lawyers Dutton Gregory.
And why do you sponsor this event? Why is it so important to you?
We've been here a long time, so we are part of the fabric, but I think the message really for the people here tonight is that we don't pay for all of it. Most of the money doesn't come from one source. It comes from every single restaurant, every single retailer, every business, every office in the centre of Winchester. So the message I really want to get out to people now is, when you're spending your Christmas pound, and they're harder to come by this year, please spend it locally, because without local businesses, we won't have events like this. We won't have Christmas lights. So my big message is, keep it local.
And obviously there's going to be a lot of people coming to Winchester with the Christmas market. Are you hoping it's going to be a good Christmas for businesses around here?
Oh yeah, I mean, Christmas is a great time for Winchester. Our market is always in the top 10 in the whole country. It brings in so many people, and to be honest, so much revenue for the city. It is a big plus. What's special about tonight is this really kicks off Christmas for everybody. The Christmas market will be opened this weekend. This is the start of the festive season.
Hi, I'm Jan from Winchester Rock Choir.
And what's it like to perform here on Christmas? You've been here a few times.
Very exciting, we love it. Love when the snow comes down as well. It's just a lovely atmosphere, it's really nice. Well, we've done a few gigs already, but this is us starting all the Christmas ones now, so we're good to go.
And what's the audience like here? When you perform here, what's it like?
They're great. They just love it, and they tend to join in, and we love that. Anything that they know they can sing along to, I'm more than happy.
Welcome to Winchester Cathedral Christmas Market.
Welcome to you all. Woo.
The following day saw the opening of the Christmas market in the Cathedral Close, the Salvation Army marking the official moment, along with the Dean of Winchester, the Very Reverend Catherine Ogle.
We're so pleased to see the market here again. We think that this is the best Christmas market in Europe.
Last year, record numbers visited the Christmas market, not surprising with its reputation as the Christmas capital of the UK. And Winchester was this week named in the Times as one of the prettiest places to go Christmas shopping in the country. And that's all for this week. Many thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Winchester Now. We hope you've enjoyed this weekly programme from Winchester Radio. If you have a story to share with us, please let us know. You can drop us an email. We're news@winchester.radio, and you can follow us on social media platforms. Just search for Winchester Radio.
Winchester Radio.